What I'm about to tell you doesn't feel real. It sounds like something from a horror movie, but every single detail is documented in history. Imagine being dragged into a cold, silent chamber. No trial, no last words, just fear. And the people waiting for you, they weren't monsters, they were executioners. Most people think execution in the Middle Ages was quick. A sword, a rope, and it's over. But that's not what really happened. Because execution was never just about death. It was about sending a message, and what they did to victims before that final moment is far worse than you think. Executioners weren't random killers. They were trained, paid by the state, respected, and feared. But here's the disturbing part. Their job didn't start with killing. It started with breaking people. Physically, mentally, publicly, because the real goal was to make an example. Before execution, victims were often tortured for hours, sometimes days, not to get information, but to create fear. Bones were stretched until joints snapped, limbs were pulled apart slowly, deliberately, and the worst part, crowds would gather to watch. Families, children, entire towns, because this wasn't hidden. It was a show, but physical pain wasn't even the worst part. Executioners understood something deeper, fear of the unknown. Victims were often left waiting, sometimes for days, hearing others scream, not knowing when their turn would come. That silence, that waiting, broke people faster than pain ever could. Then came humiliation. Victims were paraded through streets, beaten, mocked, stripped of dignity, because the goal wasn't just punishment, it was to turn them into a warning, a living message. This could be you. And then, the execution. You'd expect it to be quick, clean, merciful, but often it wasn't. Some methods were designed to prolong death, to make the final moments as painful and as visible as possible, because the ending wasn't the point, the suffering was. Here's what makes this even more disturbing. This wasn't chaos. It was a system built on fear. Because controlling people isn't about force, it's about perception. If enough people are terrified, you don't need to control everyone. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That idea didn't disappear. It evolved. Because even today, systems don't just rely on rules, they rely on fear, on examples, on making sure people see what happens when someone steps out of line. So next time you think about history, don't just think about kings, or wars, or victories. Think about the message behind it all. Because execution was never just about death, it was about control. And now you know what they really did. This is the lesson of laughter. It has long been used as a powerful tool to control people and maintain authority. 2. Turning human suffering into public spectacle strips away dignity and humanity. 3. Unchecked power often leads to cruelty hidden behind the illusion of order. 4. Silence and passive acceptance allow injustice to continue and grow.